They stole one of these shows,
No, bro!
copied it word for word, recast it with white actors, and turned it into the most awarded sitcom in television history. The original? Canceled. No credit. No apology. That's just one of them. Here are 10 black TV shows that would never air today, and the real reasons why are darker than you think. The Cosby Show. The Cosby Show proved a black family could sit at #1 for 5 consecutive years with 30 million viewers every Thursday night. The Huxtables were educated, successful, and deeply rooted in black culture. Cliff's jazz obsession, Claire's law career, generational tensions familiar to every black household watching. No trauma, no price paid to justify the success. Just uncomplicated black excellence at the center of prime time for half a decade. For black families watching, this was validation that their culture belonged at the center of American life. Today's networks are so conditioned to trauma-driven black narratives that a show built entirely on black joy makes executives uncomfortable. But 30 million people every Thursday proved for the permanent record that was never necessary. 2. The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Fresh Prince turned class conflict inside the black community into 20 million weekly viewers by naming something television had never touched: the real cost of black upward mobility. Will clashed with Uncle Phil's establishment values every episode while refusing to abandon who he was. Uncle Phil represented one answer. Will represented another. The show was brave enough to never declare a winner. For black families watching, Fresh Prince acknowledged the exhausting pressure to leave yourself behind when moving up, something mainstream television had never given voice to. Today's networks would sand Will's edges smooth and demand clean resolution, destroying the entire point. Letting Will stay fully himself in a world constantly asking him to shrink would be labeled too divisive for today's managed representation environment. Coming up, the show that gave black kids the most unlikely primetime hero, 9 years straight. Family Matters. Family Matters built its identity around a character today's television would eliminate before episode 2. Steve Urkel was nerdy, obsessive, and black in ways that defied every expectation of black masculinity on prime time. The show trusted black audiences to celebrate him, and they rewarded that trust with TGIF's strongest ratings across 9 seasons and 215 episodes. For black families watching, Urkel gave kids who didn't fit the cool or athletic mold a primetime champion, and those kids showed up every Friday without fail. Today's television would strip out every quality that made him revolutionary, leaving a sanitized version of black nerdiness that serves a messaging agenda rather than children who needed to see themselves in that character and feel proud. Martin earned Fox's highest ever black audience ratings precisely because it refused to be anything other than what it was. Barbershop debates, characters like Shanina and Broman, humor sourced entirely from inside the community without external approval, made for black people by black people. 5 seasons of dominant ratings confirmed that was more than enough. For black audiences, Martin felt like someone finally turned the filter all the way off. Today's television would cancel it within the first season, labeling cultural specificity as requiring immediate correction. The overhaul executives would demand would destroy the only thing that made Martin work. The show's power lived in exactly what they would eliminate first. Number 5 will genuinely upset you. Copied scene for scene, and the copy became legendary while the original was forgotten. Living Single. Living Single built Fox's black audience dominance by centering 6 black women whose lives were funny, complicated, and completely real. No white characters needed to validate their world. Khadija, Maxine, Sinclair, and Regine navigated careers and friendship with cultural specificity that made it appointment television for black households across America. For black women watching, that unfiltered fullness was the entire point. 1 year after Living Single premiered, Friends debuted with the exact same premise, same apartment layout, same 6-person dynamic, recast with white characters. That copy became the most celebrated sitcom in television history. The original received almost none of that recognition. That single fact tells you everything about how the industry views black creative originals. 6. A Different World. A Different World centered the HBCU experience as the beating heart of black intellectual life and reached 20 million viewers doing exactly that. Hillman College felt real because the writers understood that world from the inside. More than television, HBCU enrollment numbers actually increased while the show aired. That was real cultural influence operating in the real world. For black families watching, A Different World made attending an HBCU feel like the most vital destination a young black person could choose. Today's television would strip its HBCU specificity immediately to satisfy modern requirements the original never needed, erasing the exact quality that drew 20 million viewers and calling that improvement. Number 8 broke a record in 2015 that no black drama has touched since. 72727. 227 reached the Nielsen Top 5 by centering the daily lives of black women in a Washington, D.C. apartment building. The premise was simply this: these women were neighbors. No external storylines designed to justify their existence on prime time. Mary Jenkins, Sandra Clark, Pearl Shea, and Rose Holloway carried every episode on genuine community bonds and real humor. For black women watching, 227 felt like sitting on someone's front porch where everyone knew your business. Today's television would layer in professional drama and escalating conflict until the whole premise had been erased, because the idea that ordinary black community life deserves primetime television is the first thing executives would edit out. Empire delivered the highest-rated black drama premiere in modern television history by being completely unafraid of black ambition, power, and dysfunction at full operatic scale. Lucius Lyon and Cookie operated at a level black drama had never been permitted to reach. Dangerous, brilliant, deeply flawed, and fully human in ways that shattered every rule about how black characters were allowed to exist on network television. For black audiences, Cookie commanding every room with zero apology meant something far larger than television. Today's networks would never allow Empire's first season to survive, flagging moral ambiguity as harmful stereotyping and demanding the lions become more aspirational, destroying precisely what made the premiere a cultural event. 9 Sue, Moesha gave black teen girls a character whose interior life was treated as worthy of serious primetime exploration on her own terms. The show didn't apologize for centering black teenage girl experience in Compton without softening the texture that made Moesha's world genuine. It became UPN's most important black teen property because it was honest in ways mainstream teen television had never attempted. For black teen girls watching, Moesha was the first time television acknowledged their specific world was interesting enough to build a show around on their own terms. Today's networks would apply the same pressure they apply to every culturally specific black show, make it broader, safer, less particular, until the authentic core has been removed and replaced with something that serves everyone and moves no one. 10 Girlfriends. Girlfriends ran for 8 seasons because it understood something today's television has completely forgotten: that black women's friendships and interior lives could sustain one of television's most loyal audiences without asking anyone's permission. Joan, Maya, Lynn, and Tony dealt with relationships, careers, and sisterhood with the same cultural honesty that Sex and the City received with critical acclaim during those exact same years. Girlfriends became the longest-running black female ensemble in television history and received almost none of that recognition. For black women watching, 8 years of unfiltered, complicated black female experience, no compromises. Today's television would smooth out every messy dynamic that made Girlfriends real, because a show that lets its leads stay genuinely complicated is too unflattering for an environment where every representation must carry the weight of uplift. These 10 shows reflected authentic black experiences without apology or sanitization. They dealt with ambition, identity, and cultural pride in ways that felt genuinely real because they came from deep inside the community, not from a boardroom checklist. Today's television may be more inclusive on paper, but it has lost the raw specificity that made these shows powerful to every person who watched them. The characters were complicated, the humor came from uncomfortable truths, and the storytelling trusted its audience completely. That trust is what today's networks refuse to give. Which of these shows do you remember watching with your family? Drop a comment sharing your favorite moments. Hit that like and subscribe because these stories deserve to be heard.